It was a typical Friday night. Me and Jason had driven out to the woods for a little peace and quiet, far from the distractions of our small town. The stars were clear above us, and the quiet seemed to wrap around the car like a comforting blanket. We were parked along a quiet stretch of road, the kind that no one really drives down unless they're lost or looking for some privacy. The kind of place where time seemed to stand still. We weren't really doing anything wrong, just talking, laughing, enjoying each other's company, the way we always did. The radio was softly playing some station we had found, and the warm sound of music filling the car. But then it switched suddenly, the signal cutting out and giving way to a static news broadcast. Police are urging everyone to stay indoors. Authorities are still searching for an escaped convict, a man in his mid 30s with a hook for a hand. He was last seen near. The words hung in the air, and I felt a cold chill creep up my spine. Jason glanced over at me, his eyebrows raised in that way he did when he thought something was off. An escaped convict? He muttered. What do you think that's about? I shook my head, trying to laugh it off. I don't know, maybe some weird publicity stunt or something. It's probably nothing. They always exaggerate these things. But as I said it, my stomach twisted. The sound of the radio buzzed in my ears, and for some reason, I couldn't shake the thought of the man they were describing. I imagined a cold, empty stare and something about the hook. It made me uneasy. I reached for the radio dial, but before I could turn it off, I heard more details. Authorities believe he may be in the area near Riverton Hill. Witnesses report seeing a man matching the description at the end of. I didn't hear the rest. I felt it. That creeping sense that something was wrong. I looked over at Jason, his face tense, eyes scanning the surrounding darkness outside the car. Maybe we should head back, I suggested, my voice quieter now, more uncertain. Jason looked at me, his smile fading. Yeah, sure, he said, starting the car, but the engine sputtered for a second, and we both froze when we heard a faint noise. Something soft but distinct. A scraping sound. It came from outside the car, just by the door. Jason's eyes went wide. He turned the ignition over again, and the engine roared to life. What the hell was that? I didn't know what to say. The scraping sound had stopped, but I could still feel it. Something was out there. Maybe it was just a branch brushing the window, but it felt too close. Too deliberate. Jason shifted the car into reverse, glancing over his shoulder before slowly easing back onto the road. My heart hammered in my chest, and I kept my eyes fixed on the dark trees surrounding us, half expecting something to leap out at us. That's when I noticed it. Hanging from the passenger side door handle. A hook. My blood ran cold. It was unmistakable. A metal hook, old and rusted, like something a fisherman would use. But there was no way it had been there a second ago. We hadn't seen it when we first parked. I couldn't move, couldn't breathe. Jason. My voice was barely a whisper. Jason's eyes snapped to where I was staring, and I saw the color drain from his face. He swerved, pulling over to the side of the road so fast I thought we were going to tip over. Get out of the car, he said, his voice shaking, panic clear in his tone. We need to check this. I looked at him, my mind racing. Number, I didn't want to get out. I didn't want to see who or what had left that hook. But something inside me knew we couldn't just sit there. We needed to understand, to find out if we were really alone. With trembling hands, I reached for the door. As soon as I touched the handle, I noticed something else. Something more terrifying than the hook itself. A smear of blood, dark and thick, trailing from the handle down the side of the car. Jason must have seen it too, because his face went ghostly white. Oh God, yeah, we have to go. Now. We scrambled back into the car, my heart pounding so loud I thought it might burst. Jason slammed the gear shift into drive and sped away, the tires screeching as he pushed the gas pedal to the floor. But as we drove away, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was behind us, watching, waiting. The radio flickered back to life, the news report still playing, but the voice sounded distant now. Police believe the convict may have been in the area. A hook for a hand. I looked back at the road, my breath quickening, and there was nothing behind us. But that didn't matter. The real question was, how close had he been?